Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's preview. Bulls versus Lions, the second clash of Rainbow Cup South Africa. Obviously the Stormers versus the Sharks is the first, the opening encounter in Cape Town. This clash will be another Yuxke derby because we haven't seen enough of them apparently. It will take place at Loftus at 7 o'clock on Saturday, South African Standard Time. We will be live for both games, so make sure you are subscribed. Turn on the notifications as well, so you get a notification when we go live. Come hang out, let's just chat rugby, talk about Springbok selection, talk about the British and Irish Lions, talk about the Rainbow Cup. You know, how are our teams shaping up, and so which sort of players would you like to see some of these teams sign? And sort of what do the futures hold for some of these sides? And a little bit worrying, because I think what we are seeing is a side. Well, you're going to see two sides on very different sort of sides of the same spectrum. And one, you're going to sort of see a team and a union which is investing heavily, having a really good recruitment strategy, and building a side ready to challenge not just South Africa, not just even Pro 14, but the entire Europe. The Bulls have got a project where they will want to become European champions, which sounds strange coming from South Africa, but that is, you know, where we're heading towards. They are building a side that can go on and beat any team in the world. You know, they're trying to build one of the best sides in the world that can win a Champions Cup. And if there were to be a sort of a world club competition, the Bulls are going to be sitting there saying, we want to be a side that is competitive. On the other hand, you've got the Lions, which is a very young, very talented side, but are really struggling to keep big players. And I mean, you've seen that they've lost Dylan Smith, Marvin Orie, who's been let go in the last sort of year. Malcolm Marks, Kwaka Smith, so many players who have left. Alton Yankees not playing as a medical joker in France. The intent is for him to come back, but he's one of the few players the Lions have actually managed to hold on in the last sort of 12 months. And it's been an issue for, and if you look at the sort of last sort of 3 years, Lions have lost a lot of players. And the biggest frustration, I think, as a Lions fan, is the type of players that we're bringing in. You've got the Bulls who are bringing in Marcel Coetzee, Johan Goosen, top players, Arno Botha, and the Stormers, who are not necessarily bringing in a lot of players, but they are keeping some of their major players. P. Steph Pretoria is still there, trying to get Bongi Mbonambi. David Willemse has recommitted. Stephen Kitsov has recommitted. Frans Malherbe is still there. Keeping a lot of their sort of core squad. And then you've got the Sharks, who are signing Siya Kolisi. They're signing Sikim Bozanoche. They're going to try and looking to try and sign Bongi Mbonambi. And it's just like all the other sides seem to be doing so many good things, try and keep themselves strong. And the Lions really struggling to keep up. And a lot of it's got to do with the sort of financial situation, not being able to compete. But if you look at the side, it's not as strong a Bull side as we probably will see over the course of the competition. So if we look at the side here, some big absentees. There is no Trevor Nyakani, there's no Dwayne Vermeulen who's injured, no Sintuman Jesu who's injured, no Johan Goosen yet, no Marcel Coetzee yet. So there's quite a few players. Stefan Gans, another one, big injury. So there's a lot of injuries in the Bulls camp at the moment, but it is still quite a strong side. So if you're looking at the front row, you've got Gerrit Steenekamp, Johan Krabbelar, Morne Smith. The Bulls starting front row, probably Johan Krabbelar, but then you're going to have the likes of Lizo Koboka and Trevor Nyakani would probably be your two starting props. Yannick Swanepoel, Ruan Nokia, very solid there. Ruan Nokia for me is one of the best, sort of most formed locks in the country. I think really starting to push for potential Springbok call-up. He's really, really good. I think him, JJ van der Mesht, and Salman Murat are probably sort of the future locks of South Africa. Marco van Staden, who's supposed to be going over to Europe quite soon, and he'll start there at number 6. Albrecht Low, back from injury and ready to fire. Nizam Carr will continue to captain the side in the absence of Dwayne Vermeulen. Arno Botha off the bench, the water player to have in your reserves list. Imbroso Perez will start. Zach Berger drops to the bench in the last sort of preparation game. Chris Smith continues at fly half, but Morne Steyn is coming off the bench to add that experience. Then we've got Shivina Jacobs, Madosh Tambwe as the two wings, Cornel Hendricks, Marco Janssen Furen is filling in at outside centre at the moment. James Verity-Amy's made the switch to the Pretoria from Kimberley, as has Zach Berger. He will start at full back. On the bench, Joe van Zyl, Lizo Koboka, Jacques van Nooyen, Rolf Steenekamp, Arno Botha, Zach Berger, Morne Steyn, and David Kriel. And I think, if you look at the side, I know Marcel Coetzee and Johan Goosen are quite sort of new additions and stuff like that. There's a couple of players that are missing here. I do think that as much as it is probably one of the strongest sides they can put out, I also think that, Jake White's going to sit there and say, it's not the best Lions side. Let's be brutally honest here. It's not the strongest Lions side. And we'll get to it in a moment. So he could then say, right, I can give Marcel Coetzee, Johan Goos, and all these other sort of players the chance to kind of settle in and to try and get a little bit sort of up to speed, and then sort of try and release them against the Stormers and the Sharks when they play sort of harder opposition. Because at the end of the day, there's still a trophy. There is still a trophy at the end of this. You know, I mean, I know it might not count as much, certainly a lot less than if they had the other sides, but you could still lift the Rainbow Cup South Africa. So they could be doing a domestic treble and add 3 trophies in the short space of time. So that is the Bulls side. If we look at the Lions side, big boost for the Lions is the return of Steve Sitole, who's been injured for quite a while. Dylan Smith having gone overseas for me is a massive loss. PJ Boyta starting at hooker. Yanni du Plessis getting the nod, which I'm not really a fan of. I think Carlos Sardi is such a talented player. It was one of the biggest players you managed to actually bring to the union and sign full time from the Stormers. And I'm such a big Carlos Sardi fan that I really want to see him starting more. But Yanni du Plessis has been decent when he's been given an opportunity, so we will back him. Willem van der Sluys, Ruben Schoeman are the 2 locks. Rand North coming off the bench. As well as Emmanuel Tutuka there. And then it's a loose trio. It's quite a young loose trio, quite experienced. MJ Pulser, Vincent Tutuka, Frankie Horn. Vincent Tutuka has just signed a new contract with the Lions. It was announced earlier this morning, which is some of the good news for the Lions. We haven't actually seen something like that. That's kind of more what we want to see. We want to see your best player signing on. Vincent Tutuka, for me, is a fantastic player. Such a hard worker. He's got everything. He really does everything. His tackling is really good. He's nice and physical. He's got a really good running game. He's got a nice offload game. He's a complete player. He can jump in the line out. I think somebody who's definitely on the block radar as well. Then Andrew Warner will partner Fred Zeilinger, who will start at fly half in the absence of Alton Yankees. He was on trial, has been signed now for the Lions. Courtney Oscar-San, Stian Pino are the 2 wings. Nothing wrong with that. Dan Creel will captain the side, and you'll have Wandisile Similani next to him. So a lot of excitement there, and Tian Swanepoel at full back. It's a very young side. It is a very, very young side. Quite an inexperienced side, but there's lots of exciting players. Frankie Horn, Tutuka, Similane, Stian Pino, Swanepoel. These are all players who are young and exciting and will try and sort of players that could be pushing for box spots in a couple of years' time. Especially for me, the likes of Similane, Tutuka, and Frankie Horn. They're very, very highly rated. Off the bench, Jan Henning Kampfer, Nathan McBeth, Carlos Sardi, Reinhard Northnagel, Emmanuel Tutuka, brother to Vincent Tutuka, quite a similar player, also very, very promising. Sibusiso Sangweni, I was quite impressed with him in the preparation series, one of the few players who took the opportunity when it came. Morley van der Berg, a nice live wire scrum off, a really nice option off the bench, and EW for Yun. So you're going to sort of see Tian Swanepoel will probably cover Fred Zeilinger at fly half. He has played there as well. So for me, it's just as soon as you take out Willem Alberts and as soon as you take out Alton Yankees and you take out, you know, even like Len Massane, for example, Carlos Sardi, Dylan Smith, I like Steve Sitole. It's just not a powerhouse line side at the end of the day. No Jaco Creel as well. There's so many players missing. When you start adding, if you had Willem Alberts, Jaco Creel, Len Massane, Frankie Horn, don't you mind, Alton Yankees, and if Apio Janti gets cleared, you put him back in there, then suddenly it's quite an exciting side. But for me, it's just, there's a little bit of talent, but there's a lot of players who've not quite made it just yet. And they're still trying to prove a point, but, kind of not really at the level you'd really ideally like. A lot of what I would call squad players who are starting, but who would add value as a squad, but not necessarily as a starter. So it's a very young side, very inexperienced, so we're going to have to back and see what they can do. The nice thing is they're trying to play nice rugby. There's still a sort of commitment that they will throw the ball around. They will try and be quite nice and exciting. They'll be nice and open, which means that they do lead themselves to being quite vulnerable. So I do think this is going to be probably a Bulls by at least 10-15 points. As a Lions fan, I have to admit that I reckon that's probably where it's going to go. But hopefully the Lions can sort of do something a bit special and just try and make it competitive. At the end of the day, the big thing is that rugby is back and we are back in action. So we will have a review up straight after the game. We'll also be live during it, so come make sure you hang out. Do subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video as well. Jump in the comments. Let me know what your score predictions are. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.